Now that I've loaded up on some much needed caffeine, I should be good to go again for a while. Now, while I remember, I just wanted to mention something in regards to the direction of my channel. In all honesty, I don't want to be stuck uploading Dark Souls content only. So I've been thinking of branching out into different games over a variety of different genres. I haven't shortlisted any games as of yet, but when I do, I'll let you all know which titles I've come up with, and let you choose which one I should play. Whichever is the most popular, I'll start working on at some point or another. Now, I'm not saying that I won't ever upload Dark Souls content ever again, or Dark Souls 2 content when it's released, but it will mean that Dark Souls will no longer be the main focus of my channel. At some point in the near future, I really want to get my Alundra 100% completion playthrough finished. The reason I had to stop where I did is because my old recording device, which was a Kaiser Base 8 game recorder for those who don't know, started playing up to a point where it made a lot of games quite awkward to record. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but there was some kind of input delay. And as you can imagine, seeing the actions and movements happen seconds after performing them was not ideal for games that contained puzzles or platforming that required more precise timing. I don't plan on putting Alundra in the shortlist of titles that I'll be working on coming up with, so you don't have to worry about that distracting me from other projects. I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about in regards to that for the time being. So, getting back to what's happening right now, the next thing I want to do is take care of the firebomb throwing giant. Then I'll be free to go around this area of Sens and collect everything there is to collect, without having to worry about giant firebombs landing on me. I could collect everything with the firebomb throwing giant still alive, but I'm going to do it like this anyway. Alright, now that the firebomb throwing giant is dead, that's one less hazard to worry about. I'll go and get the cage key to open the shortcut next, then the sniper crossbow, and then the flame stone plate ring. After I've done those, I'll make my way over to Rickard, open the chests near him to obtain the rare ring of sacrifice and divine blessing, activate the cage shortcut, then make my way to Tarkus' summon sign, and it'll be onto the Iron Golem boss fight from there. When I get to the cage shortcut, there is a trick I want to show you which activates the shortcut without having to exit and re-enter the cage. It's not really all that useful, but it can come in handy if you're low on health and don't want to risk taking damage from any enemies that may be at the bottom of the shortcut. I just want to take care of this giant here. And as you just saw, I equipped poison arrows to inflict poison on it. I do this because it means I just need to lower the giant's health enough for the poison to finish it off. This way I can move around the rest of Sens, and the giant will eventually die while I'm busy with other things. That'll be low enough, I think. In a couple of minutes you'll see some souls appearing, even though I haven't killed anything. That reminds me, at some point I'll want to farm for a boulder side sword. I'll do that later though. Most likely after clearing Anor Londo and being able to warp to the Undead Parish. Now that I've obtained the cage key, sniper crossbow and flame stone plate ring, it's time to go and deal with Mr. Ricktard. I suppose I should probably tell another joke while I'm getting this stuff done. At school, little Johnny is told by a classmate that most adults are hiding at least one dark secret, and that this makes it very easy to blackmail them by saying, "I know the whole truth." Little Johnny decides to try it out. He goes home, where he is greeted by his mother, and he says to her, "I know the whole truth." His mother quickly hands him $20 and says, "Just don't tell your father." Quite pleased, little Johnny waits for his father to get home from work and greets him with, "I know the whole truth." The father promptly hands him $40 and says, "Please don't say a word to your mother." The next day, an extremely pleased little Johnny is about to make his way to school when he sees the mailman at his front door, and the boy greets him by saying, "I know the whole truth." The mailman immediately drops the mail, opens his arms, and says, "Then come and give your dad a great big hug." Okay, so I'll be coming up to the cage shortcut shortly. Just needed to make sure I had the joy gesture there. And as you just saw, performing that gesture while inside the cage reactivates the shortcut. Now I can finally move on to the boss fight. I think I'll let Tarkus deal with the Iron Golem while I watch. When he finally gets here, that is. This is how I predict this fight is going to go. Tarkus will start off strong against the Iron Golem, dealing a fair bit of damage before the Iron Golem starts catching up. Tarkus will then start acting like a bit of a spaz, and start losing more health than what he should be doing. Then it'll come down to whichever one of them lands the next hit will win. I'll just get my binoculars out, so I can enjoy watching this fight from a distance. Just what are you doing, Tarkus? Attack it already. If Tarkus dies here, I'm never summoning him again. Not only that, but I'll be grouping him in the same category as Leroy. Lucky for him. Alright, before I move on to Anor Londo, I want to pay a visit to the Crestfallen Merchant, as there are a couple of rings I want to buy, as well as some upgrade materials. I'm not sure how many large Titanite shards I'll need, so I might need to stop recording for a couple of minutes while I work out a rough figure.
Go along, try and make something of yourself.
So as you can see here, I bought 25 large Titanite shards. This figure may be off by a little, but it covers the upgrades that I want to get done now. Alright, now that the upgrades are out of the way, it's time for me to get to Anor Londo. I'm thinking I'll get to the first bonfire before I stop recording, so I'll leave you all with this joke. A guy buys a second-hand Harley Davidson, which is in almost mint condition. Before riding off, he asks the owner how he managed to keep it in such good shape. Well, says the owner, it's pretty simple. Just make sure that if the bike is outside and it's going to rain, rub Vaseline on the chrome. It protects it from the rain. The next night, the guy goes over to his girlfriend's house for dinner, which happens to be the first time he's been there. She meets him on the doorstep and greets him by saying, "Honey, I have to tell you something about my parents before you go in. When we eat dinner, we don't talk. In fact, the person who says anything during dinner has to do the dishes." "No problem," he says, and they go in. The boyfriend is astounded. Right in the middle of the living room is a huge stack of dirty dishes. In the family room, another huge stack of dishes. Piled up the stairs, dirty dishes. In fact, everywhere he looks, there are dirty dishes. They sit down for dinner, and sure enough, no one says a word. As dinner progresses, the boyfriend decides to take advantage of the situation. So he leans over and kisses his girlfriend. No one says a word, so he decides to reach over and fondle her breasts. He looks at her parents, but they still keep quiet. So he stands up, grabs his girlfriend, strips her naked, and starts making love to her right there on the dinner table. Still, no one says a word. Her mum's kinda cute, he thinks. So he grabs his girlfriend's mum and has his way with her right there on the dinner table too. Again, total silence. Then all of a sudden, a few raindrops hit the window, and the boyfriend realizes it started to rain. He thinks he'd better take care of his new motorbike, so he pulls out the Vaseline from his pocket. Suddenly, the father stands up and shouts, Alright, I'll do the damn dishes.